Some things are built to last. Tested by the elements, proven by time, engineered for whatever comes next. Summertown Metals. Strength in every storm. Building dreams that last.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather at noon.
Well, happy Friday afternoon, everybody. Taylor Plott here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center with a check on your forecast. Another great day weather-wise today. We do have some more clouds moving on in. That will continue to be the case on your Saturday, but our next focus will be on Sunday. Sunday could end up being a pretty dreary day across the area. Have more on that and the rest of your 7-day forecast here very shortly. First off, let's start things with the Arctic Air Skycam Network. Lawrenceburg, Florence, Pulaski, and Cherokee checking in on this fantastic Friday. We finally made it to the end of the week, and we have some of those clouds, like I mentioned. They'll continue to move in from the west. These are going to be your kind of high, thin, cirrus clouds to start with, but notice they are starting to thicken up once we get a little bit further into the daytime. That will start to be moving on overhead. Still looking at a relatively good day, dry day for sure, but a little more cloud cover to work with. All of this is thanks to the system that we've got going on to the west. That's the one that's going to be impacting us going into the day on Sunday. So right now we just got a lot of high clouds that are moving on in from the west. Now off to the west, you see that warm front over there across parts of Texas today. They will be seeing some strong and severe storms. That will progress to the east, but it will stay further down towards the coast and not impact us once we get into the Saturday and Sunday time frame across the Tennessee Valley. So we do not anticipate strong or severe storms. So if you do see that going on off to the west, we're not going to be dealing with that here once it enters our area. Still on the cooler side of things right now, 60 in Huntsville, 63 in Athens, 66 in Florence, 61 in Lawrenceburg, also Lewisburg coming in at 61, 59 still over there in Fayetteville. Will continue to warm up into the upper 60s to around 70 degrees today with those clouds continuing to move in across the area. I will say, especially this evening, if you want to catch maybe a sunset, it probably will end up being a pretty good sunset evening with some of that cloud cover moving in overhead. We really hadn't had that for the past several days. Those clouds, if they're in the just perfect position, it makes for a fantastic sunset. So I think there's a chance we get that tonight for once. This afternoon, like I mentioned, everybody getting up into the upper 60s to around 70. I think most places at least get to 70 degrees here. 70 in Fayetteville and Lawrenceburg, 72 in Huntsville and Owens Crossroads, 72 in Decatur, also 72 for forecast high over there in the Shoals. This evening, if you are wanting to go out and see that sunset potentially, or going either out to dinner or maybe going to one of those high school football games, I'm going to need that jacket because once you get to the late evening hours, 52 degrees, it's going to feel quite chilly. And it's going to be quite chilly once we wake up on your Saturday morning. 42 in Lewisburg, 45 in Lawrenceburg, 44 in Pulaski, 45 in Athens, 49 in Decatur, 46 degrees for an overnight low down there in Moulton. Now, once we get into the daytime on Saturday, we continue with the cloud cover moving on through, but we see slightly warmer temperatures. We do expect more mid-70s for highs on your Saturday, 74 in Huntsville, 72 in Lewisburg, 73 in Columbia, 73 in Rogersville, 75 degrees over there in these Shoals. All right, let's break down what's going to happen on Sunday, because Sunday is going to be an interesting day because not only are we going to be seeing the rainfall move through, but we could end up being relatively cool during the day on Sunday as well. So let's break it down. High pressure off to the north on Saturday morning. There's a storm system off to our west with some showers and storms, severe weather down south of this warm front, as you see here. So that's going to maintain itself down here towards the Gulf Coast. Saturday, 8 p.m., starting to see maybe some shower activity moving on in. But here's where the interesting thing happens. We are relatively dry here at the surface Saturday night going into early Sunday morning. So when you start to see some of those showers on the radar off to the west on the onset of things, most likely that's not going to be reaching the ground. But what it will be doing is slowly moistening up the atmosphere and actually cooling it in the process, evaporative cooling. That's exactly what happens when you actually get out of the shower, by the way. You start feeling very cold. All that evaporation is going on and it cools down the temperature. Once that happens, once the rain really starts to move on in across the area going into the daytime on Sunday, that could easily drop our temperatures down into the 50s, and we maintain the 50s throughout the majority of the day on Sunday. So Sunday's not only just going to be rainy and breezy, it could be rather cool outside and just a very overall dreary day across the area. 5 p.m. on Sunday, as you see here, still watching that rainfall move across the area. That will continue through your evening hours. By the time we get into your Monday morning, though, most of this will be off to our east. We are stuck with clouds, though, on your Monday with a few passing showers around, and that continues into your Tuesday as well. So the dreariest day will end up being Sunday, but it's still going to be relatively dreary outside Monday and Tuesday. 40% chance of those showers continuing. That does continue into your Wednesday as well, but then another cold front moves through, and we're looking relatively dry going into your Thursday. So let's take a look at your 7-day forecast real quick. Then we'll actually take a look at the tropics. Again, it's Sunday, going with the high of 58 during the day. Technically, the high will probably end up being around midnight, and that's going to end up being in the lower, maybe middle 60s, I think, potentially. But during the daytime on Sunday, I don't think a lot of people get close to 60 degrees. It's just going to be one of those cool days. Now, the cool temperatures continue Monday and Tuesday, but we get back up into the 60s. That front moves in Wednesday, and that will drop our highs back down into the upper 50s and lower 60s, both Wednesday and Thursday. Lows probably down into the upper 30s and lower 40s once again Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So if you do have any of those plans over the weekend, and that is not the graphic that I actually wanted. So let me go over here and kind of set things up again. I thought I moved that one back behind where the tropics are. So let's go ahead and just flip on over here towards the tropics. There you go. But anyway, if you have any of those weekend plans, Saturday's good. Sunday's not going to be overly great as well. So that's just something we'll have to keep in mind, especially having any of those weekend plans. Tropical satellite here. Here is Tropical Storm Melissa. Latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center has this now up to a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Their hurricane hunters, aircraft recon going through it, found some stronger winds, and the pressure is now down to 999 millibars. So maximum sustained winds at 60, 999 on the pressure, and it's moving east-southeast at 2 miles per hour because of the weak steering currents. It's just going to be meandering. Eventually, it's going to start moving to the west, and as it does so, it's going to pick up some strength, momentum, and it could be packing quite a punch. Current forecast has this as a 150-mile-per-hour Category 4 hurricane at its peak, and the question is, what is it going to do to Jamaica? Is it going to end up kind of straddling the coast a little closer? Is it going to be further out to the middle part of the Caribbean? Obviously, if it's a little bit closer to Jamaica, they're going to get hammered with wind and rain for a long time, and that could end up being a pretty bad scenario for the island there. So that's something we'll have to keep a close eye on in the coming days. Eventually, this is going to be picked up by the trough that's going to be moving through later on next week, and that's going to kick it off towards the north and impact parts of Cuba, and then eventually go towards the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. But right now, all eyes are going to be exactly what happens with Melissa and what is it going to be doing to the island of Jamaica. I will say, taking a look at some of the model guidance, it could be dumping several inches of rain, and that's going to create mudslide, potentially a lot of flooding down there in the Jamaica area. Some of the models are saying 18, maybe even 20 inches of rain. That's just incredible for this type of system. So that's something we'll be watching very closely. That's your latest forecast here from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Fred Gossage will be in at 5 p.m. to have another update on your forecast. Until then, I hope everybody has a fantastic Friday and a great weekend.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.